Have you ever heard of Emmeline Pankhurst? The suffragette movement bloomed in England in the 1900s, majorly affecting surrounding countries. For today's program, based on the suffragette play, Pageant of Great Women, enjoy our new and improved Pageant of Great Suffragettes.
We had had enough. The year is 1905 in London, England, 2 years after we, the militant suffragettes, joined. Up until now, there had been peaceful protests led by the suffragists since 1887, which were intelligent but not effective enough to win us the vote. Suffragettes vocalized their ideas through peaceful acts such as signs, newspapers, postcards, and speeches. For example, Geraldine Lennox, my friend, organized the suffrage spirit, teaching about the progress and downfalls in suffragette history. However, it was the violent acts such as smashing windows, lighting fires, and planting bombs that were finally listened to and could influence change in Parliament, however, not without societal consequences.
Our motto became deeds, not words, and we fought because as long as women cannot vote, they are treated like children who do not know what is good or what is bad for them.
We fought because 7 shillings 6 pence a week is not possible for a woman to keep industrially efficient. She cannot keep up her physical health, let alone the qualities of intelligence and mental vigor which make the valuable citizen. My name is Emmeline Pankhurst. My liberal father once said, "What a pity she wasn't born a lad," because he knew the inequality of the patriarchal world. I founded the Women's Social and Political Union, or the WSPU, an organization with people who would do most anything for women's rights, even if it was against the law, destructive, or violent.
I am Emily Davison. My militancy landed me in prison 6 times in the span of 4 years, where I, like many other suffragettes, went on hunger strike. The police resorted to force feeding because they knew that if one of us died, the public would sympathize with our cause. In 1913, I died, trampled in a horse derby, shouting advocacy for women's rights because I saw that my sacrifice would aid the future of women's equality, inspiring the public with my martyrdom.
Were there any other life and death instances?
On November 18th, 1910, an event known as Black Friday, we had planned to march to the House of Parliament.
However, it did not end well for us. The police and other anti-suffrage men assaulted and abused us. A third of the suffragettes present that day were arrested. Many others died or were seriously injured.
Whoa, stop!
Ah! We realized the knowledge of self-defense was necessary. Key to this, Edith Giroud was short in stature, being no more than 4'11", but she could take on a policeman nearly a foot taller. Edith taught other suffragettes self-defense, namely jujitsu, and her red attire signified her preparing to fight. Many of her students became known as my bodyguard, or the Amazons, because they protected me as a key member to our success.
Not only did jiu-jitsu act as a self-defense tactic, but it also communicated women's power. The trained women were no longer men's physical inferior, and with the right training, we could be man's equal.
I know that women, once convinced that their rebellion is just, will go on no matter what the difficulties, no matter what the dangers, so long as there is a woman alive to hold up the flag of rebellion. Votes for women.
Stop!
I am Margaret Cousin, the treasurer of the Irish Women's Suffrage Federation. Under the Representation of the People Act of 1918, our militancy gained us the vote under British law. Furthermore, Irish suffrage societies all over the country sent representatives to Dublin to demand women's inclusion in the pending Home Rule Bill. We had never been a militant group, so there was new tension in the air with our coordinations with the WSPU.
I am Louise Bennett, the first woman president of the Irish Trade Union Congress. I advocated for equal pay for women. We, the Irish suffragettes, had never been inclined to violence, truly. A war in Ulster, however, involved unionists and members of the WSPU, in which the British suffragettes stormed the Abbey. The arrested women were promptly released due to hunger striking, but I said to them, English suffragists cannot do any good work for us in Ireland unless they cooperate with us and allow themselves to be guided by our more intimate knowledge of Irish people and Irish affairs.
What could Irish suffragettes accomplish after the vote?
Well, our disputes with the WSPU and the World War put all our plans on hold, even including the push for the Home Rule Bill. We couldn't come to agreements with Emmeline's militant association. However, do not take it as a lack of support to the cause. Just because we had the dignity and didn't resort to barbaric attacks doesn't mean we are any less passionate.
What we means to say is that we decided to pursue smarter and nonviolent protesting. Irish society and etiquette is different and required a more subtle approach to succeed. Let us blame our ineffectiveness on the World War and poor communication with our sister organizations. I now concede that simply pushing for bills did not take effect even if they had enough votes because it wasn't a priority in Parliament. Despite our opposition to violence, it is clear that the WSPU's militancy was more effective because it added urgency to the issue, while the government was able to overlook our organization.
This is infuriating. Those damn British suffragists think they can do anything they want in our country. They think they're helping us, but they're not. Arson on an abbey against unionists. That goes against the whole premise of our society in Belfast. We agreed that we would approach this peacefully.
There is no doubt of the moral dilemma at hand, but do not play ignorant to the success of the London suffragettes.
Listen to this. The outrage was evidently in revenge for the refusal of Ulster Party to take up the women's cause. That's what the police reported. Are we the kind of organization to throw petty tantrums because someone disagrees with us?
Louis, the whole premise of the organization is to advocate for women's rights. What if scenes like this can win us that?
Is it worth risking our integrity, Margaret?
I am Grace Cadell, the leader of the WSPU Scotland branch in Leith, Edinburgh. I studied medicine at university and became the caretaker of the Scottish suffragettes. Like England and Ireland, we were involved in militancy, violent protests, and hunger striking. Like the majority of the UK, there was the Cat and Mouse Act, which let hunger striking suffragists out of jail. I've given as much as I can to the cause. My possessions were all taken away from me after I protested for no taxation without representation. My story gained us leverage and sympathy in the public.
Some suffragettes gained from the Cat and Mouse Act, yes, but I, Ethel Moorhead, or Margaret Morrison as a code name, consistently willingly suffered jail time, especially after my acts of arson in Glasgow. I got caricatured in some postcards, a subtle but effective way to spread propaganda in our time, with over 900 million sent from the beginning of the decade to the end. The postcard depicts a policeman dragging me by my hair, and the caption says, "Back to the torture chamber." Although painful, it was all worth it. We wouldn't have accomplished what we had if we hadn't committed these dramatic acts. And although I hope nobody wanted violence, I do agree that it was necessary to get the attention of Parliament, the media, and the citizens of Scotland, just like our sister societies.
Among the many violent acts I've treated women, one I saw most consistently was women being abused by their employers in atrocious working conditions. It was normal for employees to be threatened with dismissal if they did not commit sexual acts with the men in authority, many as young as children. Why did Mr. Reckerson bring you to his office? Are you okay? What's wrong?
I don't know.
Tell me. You can trust me.
He touched me and I felt very uncomfortable. I didn't know what to do. I have to provide for my family. I can't prove myself.
Into the real world.
Since 1928, men and women have shared the right to vote.
Although England was not the first country to win the vote for women, their tactics influenced many countries to fight for women's rights, namely America.
We have more progress to make, but the suffragettes would be proud to know that women have gained authoritative roles in government around the world. For example, Kamala Harris in America and Margaret Thatcher in England. Although the Federal Equal Pay Act has been largely ineffective, laws in individual states such as Massachusetts have been put into place to prevent gender bias more firmly.
Violence, crucial in communicating the urgency of the cause, became unnecessary over the years in the Western world, as there is now a more common understanding that women should be treated as men's equal. The motivation for their militancy was urgency to see progress in their lifetime, as they had to take on the responsibility of undoing historical patriarchy.
The Me Too movement now gives women a platform to talk about rape, which was not considered a crime when the suffragettes were protesting. Our revolt was much greater value than the vote we demanded.
As we, the present suffragettes, still work for the day when no woman will ever be taken advantage of, seen as property, or seen as inferior, we will remember what our sister suffragettes went through, and they will make us stronger. I'm Elizabeth Barrett.
I'm Elyza Tuan, and we hope to see the day when biases and prejudices against women are in the past.
The future is female.